What's up, guys? LQ here with the LQ Review, here with my review for episode 9 of The Twilight Zone. This episode has been titled The Blue Scorpion, and for good reason. So this is about a man who finds out that his father committed suicide. His father, who he described as a hippie, somebody who's anti-gun, he commits suicide with a gun that has a blue scorpion on the handle, and the bullet had his father's name on it. And now, inexplicably, the gun comes into his possession, and there's now a bullet with his name on it. His name being Jeff. This man is he's a college professor, I think in anthropology, and there's a underlying storyline about how people like to anthropomorphize animals, objects. They try to give them human characteristics. Sounds like somebody's weed eating outside my house. But they like to give them human characteristics, and that's something that they explore in this movie. The idea that this gun has human characteristics, it has a soul, it has a mind, and they even have the idea that this gun is afraid of the dark. So don't keep it in a dark area, and if you do, you better put a flashlight in there with it, because this gun is afraid of the dark, and it doesn't like to be in the dark. So this man, this professor, he tries to get rid of the gun, but he soon realizes that like everybody that he's coming across is named Jeff. The guy that he's trying to sell the gun to, the attorney that is working his wife's divorce proceedings. A number of people he comes across carry the name Jeff, and he comes to realize that this is a huge coincidence, and he starts to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Somebody named Jeff is going to get killed by this gun, by this bullet. Now, this is a man who seems like he's pretty anti-gun in the beginning. And then at one point during the episode, he takes the gun to a firing range. And he wants to get rid of the bullet that has Jeff on it. So he puts the bullet in the clip, and then he loads the clip up, and he starts shooting at the firing range. And he starts having fun. He starts enjoying shooting this gun, even doing silly behind the back shots and stuff like that. He's starting to get, what's the word I'm looking for? He's starting to get the gun bug, right? And the last shot jams. It doesn't fire. And he looks at it and he realizes that the bullet with Jeff on it doesn't fire. And for the longest time, I wasn't sure what angle they were going on this. Jordan Peele being a Hollywood liberal, I was assuming this was going to be a very anti-gun message, but that wasn't what I was getting for a portion of the movie, for the portion of the show. For a portion of the show, I was getting the whole, well, a gun doesn't kill people, people kill people. I was getting that vibe, and that's honestly the vibe I was getting, the direction he was going, and that might have been the direction that he was going for a while, but that's not the way it ended. With the ending, when he says until people start valuing lives over inanimate objects, there's still going to be catastrophe. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said. So at the end, it ended up being a very anti-gun message, which didn't surprise me. Given his politics, that didn't surprise me. And I've always said that political message, pushing some sort of political agenda through your storytelling is okay, as long as it doesn't get in the way of the story. And in this case, it didn't. It actually was a very well told, tight story that ended with him being heroic. Kind of. I mean, he didn't kill. So at the end, throughout the course of the show, we're learning that there was been a series of burglaries, of robberies, And in the end, somebody attempts to carjack him, and it ends up being the person who's been breaking into these houses, and the gun actually does go off on its own and kills this person, and we find out that this person's name is Jeff. So the bullet was made for Jeff all along, and he ends up having this heroic ending where he gets the job that he wants. He gets the settlement with his wife that he wants. He ends up having a happy ending. And then he goes and throws the gun into the lake, only to have it, again, guns don't kill people, people kill people. Yeah, right, according to this, right? Because in this, the gun comes out, is on the shore of the bank, and some kids find it. And the bullet now has Kyle on it, and Kyle is the name of one of the kids. So the message is definitely guns are bad. We can agree with that message or not agree with that message all we want. Was the story good? And yeah, the story was good. The story was an interesting story about a man who's trying to get rid of this cursed gun, and he eventually embraces what he can do with it. And then at the end, he discards it. So it has a nice arc for the lead character. The message is secondary. The message is secondary. Guns are evil. That's the message. We can like it or we can disagree with it. That's one of the great things about shows like this, is that it sparks discussion. Okay, we don't have to agree with it. We don't have to say, yep, guns are evil. If you have a gun, somebody's going to get killed. You know, I've had a gun my whole life. It's never been used to hurt anybody. So we can agree with it or we can not agree with it. You know, or we can be somewhere in the middle, kind of like I am. I think that there's a place for guns in our society, but I also think that there's some problems that guns bring to our society, and we need to work harder to find the solutions. So something like this is going to spark discussion. And I hope it's valuable discussion where people aren't just picking a side and putting in roots and not moving from their side and saying, guns are evil, you can't change my mind, or we should have everything the military has, you can't change my mind. You know, there has to be a middle ground there. And something like this can help spark that discussion on what the middle ground can look like. But that aside, the story itself was good. The acting was good. The arc for the main character was good. Everything about this episode was the makings of a well-told story. And that is the most important thing. So all that being said, this was a strong episode of The Twilight Zone. Not my favorite, but it was a strong episode. Definitely in the top third. Really enjoyed what Jordan Peele brought in this episode. There's one more episode left in this season with Seth Rogen that looks like it's going to be a very fun end to season 1. Really looking forward to it. But as for episode 9, The Blue Scorpion, really enjoyed it. Thought it was very well done. The message was intriguing, and can't wait to see how they end it. So what did you think of this episode? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, thank you for being here at the LQ Review, where we talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. And until next time, we'll see you later.